Good morning, my divine loves. This is Cecile. As I'm out on my morning stroll, I wanted to come and talk to you all about some very critical information that I have for you. And this is 3 critical skills you need for life and for parenting, mommyhood, fatherhood, even. So if you don't know who this is Cecile Edwards of Mommy Evolve. I'm the creative director and CEO of Mommy Evolve. And this is a conversation that I have all the time. And I know these are also questions that are asked all the time. People always want to know the gateway into anything, right? Because we want to shorten our learning curve. And, I understand that. However, I also understand that I'm giving you these skills that are critical and necessary because these are skills that I have learned and have been able to unravel and push through within myself. And I know that they are the gateways. However, they do take work, of course. Nothing that is worthwhile is just going to fall in your lap. There's going to be some learning, some unlearning, and all of that, right? That's just life, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be a negative. It's not a negative thing. So I know for sure that in life there are a few things that are just critical for our growth and development, for our parenting, for our self-awareness. And the first thing I'm going to start with is community. Community. I know that we live in this world where we hear these things about people being self-made. And I understand where the self-made thought process comes from. I do. But I think it gives people a misrepresentation of things. We live in this, it's just me type world. No one wants to ask for help. No one wants to seek out others, that kind of mentality. But I know for sure in my life and through my process of growing my community of like-minded people, not just to be around me, but to be accountable in my life for my children, those who are in my life as young people that I am guiding and nurturing. My team, my community helps me to grow myself in a way that speaks volumes to that as well. And so building a community is so critical. And I say build a community because, yes, you come with the family that you're born into. That's lovely. But my definition of family isn't just the people that you share blood with, but it's also people that you come to meet that is your soul family. Those people that you meet and you're like, oh, we have so much in common. We have so many commonalities. There's so much that we can learn from one another. If that's your focus. Sometimes you meet people that are like you and there's clashes. Maybe because one person or the other is not ready for whatever evolution is happening with you, or whatever the case may be. But your soul family, your community, the people that you can call on, that could call on you. And that's critical because sometimes when we're in a certain position, maybe we have a little bit more, we have some depression, we have some anxieties, we have some distrust or mistrust issues. We can feel like, we are the ones that constantly need to be served and don't think that we have anything to offer. But you have to put yourself in the mindset that you always have something to offer. You always have something to offer because it's not community if it's one-sided. So you have to be mindful of that. And your community should be in a space where you're being built up in that situation. Your community may not be consistent throughout the years. You may have one community for 20 years and then decide that you need to expand your community by being around different people. And that's okay. You, as a parent, I have become very conscious of being able to call upon people, having my community of mothers, but also people who don't have children, who can nurture me as well as my daughter. Somebody that your children could look at, because let's be honest, your children aren't always going to just listen to you and your word. It's good when they have that cool auntie or uncle that they can talk to about things that they may not talk to you about, and then maybe that auntie and uncle can relay that information to you in a way that doesn't violate the trust bond between that person and the child. So these kinds of things are critical. And I know it's difficult for a lot of mothers and fathers sometimes because we don't want someone else to discipline our child. But that doesn't have to be a struggle or a harsh conversation. It can just be, I don't talk a certain way to my child. So therefore, that's not something that I desire in my community, right? Or, I don't spank my child. And so that's not something I desire in my community. You can call that out, and that's fine. But to shut down the idea of having community and having a way to support you and your child holistically can be quite dangerous. So that's number one of the skills, learning how to build community. And I could talk to you about that individually as well as and I will be creating a class to talk about that. The second skill is unraveling and understanding your mother and father wounds. So just recently on my podcast, Mommy Matters, I did a conversation around mother wounds and intergenerational healing with Bethany Webster. Bethany Webster is of motherwound.com. And she was someone that actually guided and helped me in thinking of and looking at my own wounds of the past, mother wounds, etc., to be able to really unravel those and understand how they have affected my life in the different ways. And this is important because, quite frankly, we repeat what we are not aware that we're repeating. We unconsciously just repeat things. And it may not even be something that works for us. It may be something that is detrimental to us. Something that we don't even want to do, but because we have never sat and analyzed the issue, we continue to repeat it because we don't think about ways that we can shift it. Honestly, oftentimes we don't even think that we can shift it. Okay? Excuse me, I'm breathing hard because I'm out on my walk. This is one of the things I'm shifting is my health and the way I think about my health and the prioritization of my wellness, knowing that I'm the type of person that absolutely needs to exercise in order to stay fit, okay? And I need to exercise not just a little bit. I don't have the average situation, okay? I need to work out. So as much as I like to take my leisurely strolls, I have to put some more pep in my step when I'm walking because it's just my body type, I'm a type O blood, and type O blood people, if you don't follow that way of eating and living, then you can look it up and see if that works for you. But I'm noticing, and I already noticed even when I looked it up, I was like, oh yeah, all of that makes sense because I had already been going through my journey and doing certain things. But anyway, just paying attention to the way that finding resources, and of course I'm one resource that I assist women, men as well, in unraveling the effects of the relationship. And I know a lot of times when we hear the mother wound, we often think about just our relationship with our mother. And as I said on the Mommy Matters podcast, we talked about the mother wound in depth. And Bethany was able to give you a more expanded understanding of how the mother wound affects you. Because yes, it is about the relationship that you've had with your mother, your primary caregiver, You're the person who often fashions the blueprint for how you see life and relationships. Okay. And so being able to unravel that will really get you to understand how and why you think and do and are the way you are, so that you can start to create different pathways and new legacies within your family. I support people who are growing new legacies in their families. Growing new legacies in your families requires a lot of strength, grit, and quite frankly, a plan. Because I know we think that, and support, going back to community, right? Because it's not easy. Because there's going to be times when you're going to be the only person thinking, being, and doing certain things a certain way. And that can be difficult. Even something as simple as when I was a vegetarian, and having to go to family events where most people are not, or there's a perception of what it means to be that. And so, oftentimes you need support. You need perhaps ways to interact and engage with that. And the final thing, number 3, so I went through community. We went through unraveling your mother and father wounds as well. The third thing is growing your self-love and self-care. And for me, self-care is self-love. It's one and the same. It is there is no way to, when you're practicing impeccable self-care, that you're not going to show up as someone who loves themselves. Because self-care is not just, and I talk about this, you can go to my website and blog and see blogs about this, or hear videos on my YouTube channel at Mommy Evolve. Self-love, self-care is not just getting your nails done and getting, your hair done. Those are great things. It is your ability to have a relationship with yourself that is kind. So what kinds of thoughts are you thinking? How are you building your legacy from your mind? How are you thinking about your current situation and interacting with that? Is everything doom and gloom? Or do you believe in yourself enough to know that your situation can change and be significantly different 1 year from now? What do you believe? What do you believe about yourself? Do you believe that the mother wounds and father wounds, the things that happened to you in your childhood, are who you are? Or do you believe that you can shift away from any of those things that may not have been of service to you? Do you believe that you can use things in service to you as opposed to you being used by it? That one right there. Do you believe that you can use things in service to you as opposed to you being used by it? Because we grow up in a society where we're taught to consume, and not to produce. And that those two mindsets, I consider the mindset of being able to produce, or having a healthy balance of production and consumption, okay, with your ability to understand self-love and to practice self-love and self-care. Because if you're expending out, and this is an energy lesson, energetic legacy, you're expending out and spending out more than you have, or more than you even have a plan for something to serve you, then absolutely you are going to be setting yourself up for burnout and for not being served and not expressing the highest level of self-love and self-care for yourself. And so these are some things that you can consider and think about when you're asking yourself about your self-care routine. Are you doing something that you truly desire and that is inspired? Or are you doing something that you think you should do? Okay? When you don't know what you should do, a great thing to do and what I teach and what I do is to sit and ask yourself, what should I do? What would be the best action for me at this time? Sit and listen to yourself and trust what comes up. Can you do that? Because that is self-care and self-love. That is demonstrating that you are practicing self-care, that you trust your inner guidance enough to go within. And that doesn't mean that the answers, there will be a relationship between the answers and that you get from inside and those things that you can find on the outside of you to do, by the way. So there's that balance. So for example, I'm going to give you the great example. Yesterday, I was reading something and it told me to go look up, it said something about, because you read stuff all day. So some things you read and it falls on you, some things you read and you just like, whatever. So I was reading something and that thing stuck in my mind. And so I said, all right, I know that this is something that I need to really look into. And so I went and I looked into it. I went and I found the information, and boy, am I glad that I did. Because now I'm creating a strategy that is going to do what I need to do within the next year to get me where I need to go, without having to shift myself too drastically, right? Or to learn something that is out of my range to learn. So we have to do that sort of tug of war and juggling with listening to our internal selves, but also being able to recognize the signs outside of ourselves that are pulling us towards what we are conjuring from inside. And you can tell a lot about your self-care routine and your self-love by that. How you're utilizing your time, how you're devoting your time in your day, how you are talking to yourself, whether or not your rituals and routines express the highest for what you want for yourself. And this is all a work in progress for all of us, but start with one area. If it's your relationships, start with that. What is your internal self saying? Are there people that you need to deepen relationships with or get rid of? Are there, if you're talking about work, are there people that you need to deepen your relationships with, or work that you need to go forward and towards, or things that you need to release? Listen to that inner guide, because once you do decide to do that, things that you need are going to show up on the outside. Okay? And so those are ways to really focus your energy and things to think about in your daily process of growing, of evolving, of elevating, understanding more deeply how your sense of community, your understanding of your mother-father wounds, and your self-care routine, how those all interact beautifully. And I want you to really consider and answer the questions that I've asked today. Don't just take them in, but really think about them, answer them, and see what comes up. Journal about them. I look forward to hearing some of your responses. And I would love to see you on my one-on-one Evolve the Inner Mother course, which is a 6-week course where I really dive deep for you to really understand these different facets, as well as the other levels in the program, the other pillars of Mommy Evolve, and how to really utilize strategies in your daily life to live the life that you desire. Because I know we don't want to be out here struggling. And once we evolve that inner mother, that inner creator within us, that inner relationship with that creator, then all in life becomes so much more clear, so much more easy. We release things that no longer serve us. So, Evolve the Inner Mother. You can access that by going to my page, bit.ly/mom appointments. And you can see the services there. You can also go to evolvetheinnermother.launchrock.com, where you can find information on some of the pillars that we focus on during that week. I also have self-care plans. In the self-care plan, you spend 75 minutes with me, and we work on one or two areas that you're looking to evolve, that you're looking to practice more self-care with. And this is an actual plan for you. I'm an educator by trade. And so I have this knack of finding ways to get you from point A to point B. And being able to get from point A to point B using various skills, using various implementations that help to ground you in the lessons that you need to learn and in the new skills that you need. And so that self-care plan, again, you can find by going to bit.ly/mom appointments. And I look forward to you really taking your self-care seriously and understanding what the depth of that self-care is and being unafraid to step into the power of practicing sacred self-care. And I look forward to seeing you. If you have any questions, you can always email me, momevolve@gmail.com. And I look forward to hearing from you. As I complete my walk and I go and get ready for my day, I wish you much love, much abundance, much peace. Peace and love.